Hello, everyone. We are coming to you live from the West Coast, from our beloved city by the bay. Yes, we here have left our hearts in San Francisco. We are pro-life San Francisco, and welcome everyone to this 10 years of fetal organ harvesting exposed anniversary webinar. Tonight, we are going to be celebrating the work of David Daleiden through the Center for Medical Progress and sharing what sparked, thanks to his undercover video here at Pro-Life San Francisco, through 10 years. That video was released today, 10 years ago. So we have done over the years a lot to fight against fetal organ harvesting as a result of his inspirational work through CMP. And also tonight, we're going to share about how we've been able to come alongside David and his team to provide moral support as the powers that be worked to squash their message. Now, as a refresher, if maybe you're just hearing about this video, the undercover footage, David Daleiden, Center for Medical Progress for the first time. Who is this guy? What is this thing? What is this video? CMP, Center for Medical Progress, is the pro-life journalistic group started by David Daleiden that went public with their very first hidden camera video July 14th, 2015, 10 years ago today. For me, that was the summer going into my senior year of high school. Where were you this time 10 years ago when these videos started circulating? It made waves within the pro-life community, and especially within our pro-life SF community, was started just 1 year later as CMP's work continued to inspire activists across the country to do something tangible for unborn children facing death in their communities. So tonight we're going to hear from Robert Bird, our executive coordinator since 2019. Robert has created both written and video content to make the case for CMP's claims and provided logistical support for several court support days and rallies at the Office of Illegal Fetal Traffickers in the Bay Area. We're going to hear from Robert Bird. We're going to play you this historic video, which shook the nation, which shook the pro-life world and has launched a movement. And we're also going to hear from the founder of Pro-Life San Francisco, Teresa Bakovenac, who initiated our program or campaign to amplify CMP's message about illegal body part traffickers within California, to call out inaction from top government officials, and to rally the public to support David when he and his team were dragged into San Francisco courtrooms time after time. So again, we're going to hear tonight from Robert Bird, Executive Coordinator of Pro-Life SF. We're going to watch this historic video, so stay tuned for that. And we're going to hear some awesome remarks from our founder, the one and only Teresa Bakovenac. So welcome, Robert, and welcome, Teresa.
Hey, Melanie, how's it going?
Going well.
Am I on the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's so funny. I thought I was like in the background. Hi. So exciting to
Yay.
be here. Gosh,
Yeah,
I
blast from
can't
the
believe
past.
it has been 10 years since David's videos came out. That is, my life has changed completely since that moment. And I know Robert's did too. And Melanie, your life's changed a lot since then. And
Wow.
it's a thank you so much for putting this together so that we can reflect upon it. It's such a critical anniversary, and it's just so fitting that Pro-Life San Francisco is honoring it. So thank you.
Awesome. So Robert, go ahead, take it away and take us through the journey of a decade's worth of work, effort, activism that Pro-Life San Francisco has done, inspired by the work of CMP and David Daleiden.
Most definitely. Well, of course, our community here at Pro-Life San Francisco has a lot of its roots in just individuals here and there around the Bay Area watching the videos of the Center for Medical Progress and being inspired to step up and take action because we felt a certain responsibility to take part if, the abortion businesses in our area are going to be targeting people in our community in more ways than one, even willing to cross legal limits and break the law, as David's videos and subsequent investigations by both him and Congress showed, then we can't just keep this information to ourselves. We have to speak up. We've taken our message all across the Bay Area and even as far across the country as Washington, D.C., to both amplify the message of David and take our own take cues from ourselves, plan and organize events to hold the powers that be accountable. The very first event that I recall on Pro-Life San Francisco's history of events related to David's activism was in December of 2016 when the national president of Planned Parenthood, Cecile Richards, was speaking at a public venue right across the street from San Francisco City Hall. We were out there and able to do more than just have our message seen, but many of us were actually able to speak with the attendees going in and out to listen to Cecile Richards and really, lay it on their hearts what the facts are regarding Planned Parenthood's not just, targeting of children and parents, but illegal sale of fetal organs and body parts for what's so-called fetal tissue research. This was a very monumental event because it was, for example, the first time I had been able to be a part of a local San Francisco pro-life gathering, something that wasn't just a part of a, annual event sweeping through the city and gone in 24 hours. But this was the start of a long period of time working and volunteering with Pro-Life San Francisco to be boots on the ground community activists. In May of 2017, that is when we were able to first show up for David and his team when they were dragged to court here in San Francisco. You may be aware of Kamala Harris's role in investigating the Center for Medical Progress and being totally hands off when it came to the allegations against Planned Parenthood. Years later, the research from Congress established that there was, in fact, relevant, unmistakable documentation that Planned Parenthood was breaking at least its own company policy in regards to collecting money from fetal tissue harvesters. But of course, Kamala Harris didn't care at all about what was going on there. She colluded with Planned Parenthood, met with them in secret meetings, and of course, raided David and collected all of the undercover footage that they had encountered. Now, she handed off this investigation to her successor, Javier Becerra, who then filed charges against David Daleiden and the Center for Medical Progress for filming confidential conversations. That was the charge. And that carries with it a penalty of 1 year in prison for each video recording subject. So because of this targeting by the California Attorney General's office, first starting with Kamala Harris, and then the prosecution started by Javier Becerra, David and his team were dragged to court. Now, thankfully, it was, well, not in a place where there would be necessarily a friendly jury, but where there was a friendly pro-life community to come out and support them, San Francisco. So we were grateful to have the opportunity to, if this were to be a prosecution happening anywhere, that it was in our hometown. We came out time after time again, several dozens of times at 3 different courthouses, both the state court, federal court, and the Court of Appeals, to ensure, especially when it came to the opportunity to share this message with a wider audience through the use of the media, we were able to not just come alongside David, bring them the support that they needed, but report on the daily happenings in the courtroom, say, like a live courthouse drama. 2 hours on average would be the time that it would take to, sit through the entire hearing. And we were able to definitely distill that down and show the highlights to the public and be able to show time after time that there's something important happening here to keep an eye on the government and their persecution of pro-life activism. We were also able to do some digging. I believe that Teresa will be able to share more about this in a few minutes, but through the use of the San Francisco Public Information Law, the Sunshine Ordinance, Pro-Life San Francisco found that the judge over David's civil case in federal court, that he had legal obligations to Planned Parenthood of Northern California, one of the very affiliates or chains of Planned Parenthood that was suing David in federal court, keeping further undercover videos from being published. So, of course,
Judge Ulrich, recuse yourself! Judge Ulrich!
We made sure that this didn't go unnoticed. We blasted this message even at the entrance of an event at the San Francisco Bar Association honoring Judge William Orrick for his service in federal court. This was a really exciting day. We also happened to meet members of other pro-life organizations out there and kind of coordinate with them to make sure that, we can utilize each other's help in amplifying this message wherever it needs to be. It happened to be the organization Survivors, which through the years we've been able to partner with time and time again. So that was a really pivotal day, not just for amplifying David's message and the egregious things happening with federal court, but in terms of forming the start of partnerships with other organizations. This was able to be amplified through social media as well, showing William Orrick with his rose-colored glasses, or I should say Planned Parenthood pink colored glasses. That definitely influenced the way that he ruled time after time in the courtroom. In October of 2018, we were really glad to platform David Daleiden as our keynote speaker for our conference at UC Berkeley, our Let There Be Life conference. And through his presentation, he was able to share what, up to that point, all of the victories had been, including 5 Planned Parenthood branches in California being under investigation. Of course, branches that Kamala Harris and Javier Becerra had never spent 1 second investigating. And of course, highlighting the victory in Southern California, when David brought a lot of his investigative information to the Orange County DA, for example, they were able to shut down 2 companies and prove that they were selling fetal body parts for profit in Orange County, California. Having this message shared to a live audience of 400 people at UC Berkeley was just a really amazing opportunity. And we're really grateful that David had the opportunity to come join us as our keynote speaker. Now, when it comes to the legal cases here in San Francisco against David for filming where he quote unquote was not allowed to, and the lawsuit trying to bill David and his team for essentially Planned Parenthood was suing them for millions of dollars, saying, well, because he infiltrated our conferences and events, we had to change our vetting procedures, update our security, and all this costs money. So David's on the hook for paying this millions of dollars. We went to the courtrooms to report on what was happening in these cases day after day. And of course, with the federal case, they had a 2-week, I believe this one was a 2-week long hearing, or maybe I'm thinking of the prosecution in state court. But day after day, we went in to report on the happenings. We were able to take copious notes over those 2-3-hour days in federal court. And those notes served as the basis for over about 12.5 articles in Live Action News. You can read those articles by clicking, well, I guess if you take a screenshot of that QR code and tap the icon in your camera roll, it will lead you directly to the web page where we have all of these articles in one place for you to check out. Now, in the fall of 2019, this is when we launched our campaign against fetal organ harvesters within San Francisco, because while David and the Center for Medical Progress were able to highlight the egregious and particularly illegal activities within the Planned Parenthood organization, we didn't know too much about, other local, institutions more local to us engaging in this targeting of parents and asking for fetal remains, basically encouraging them to follow through with their abortion decision. When it first came on our radar that this sort of targeting of parents and children before abortions was happening in San Francisco, we were able to immediately, because we were familiar enough with the subject, thanks to the Center for Medical Progress's work, that we were able to institute our own campaign against the organ harvesting happening at UCSF. The interesting thing was we were able to essentially link this with David's message in many different ways. For example, we are always worried about the opportunity for illegal activity within UCSF, which is an ongoing investigation. Anytime that fetal trafficking, which is a specific legal term, is going on, the government must investigate whether it is already, established by documents like the Senate Judiciary Committee found regarding Planned Parenthood, or if it's by looking at legal or medical probabilities, the chance of children born alive, which has always been a concern at UCSF. We realized that these sort of things need to be investigated by the local law enforcement over whichever jurisdiction it is, City of San Francisco, the state of California, or the Attorney General of the United States. We took the message of the necessity to prosecute fetal traffickers on the national level to Trump's Attorney General Bill Barr, who had evidence of Planned Parenthood's crimes on his desk, but had never started a prosecution. We came out with dozens of people to urge Attorney General Bill Barr to prosecute Planned Parenthood. This was in the fall of 2020. You could probably tell by all the masks we were wearing, early days of COVID, of course. And this was a really exciting day to be able to have our first event outside of the Bay Area. It was really invigorating to be able to bring this message to the public. And because, when it comes to the news cycle, things drop out of sight so quickly for the majority of people. So any opportunity we can create together to re-highlight things that haven't reached a conclusion yet, because it's necessary that these people breaking existing laws that are on the books to be held accountable. It's so important that we continue to do events like these to bring this message back to a wider audience. We were really grateful to be able to highlight what information does the Attorney General have on his desk and explain to the public that while they can do something about it, they aren't. So we need to continue to raise all of our voices. That was a really exciting day. Teresa was able to share an original song for the first time, right from the curb in the just blocks in the White House. And we were also able to continue to amplify both David's message and our own local message by highlighting this company here in the Bay Area called Advanced Bioscience Resources. In November of 2021, we had I would say, from my perspective, our loudest, most like loud visually, and of course with our megaphones, our loudest protest against any particular institution in the abortion industry. Out here in Alameda, ABR is a company that both David Daleiden highlighted as one of the companies Planned Parenthood would sell body parts to. And through our UCSF campaign, which I mentioned just a couple minutes ago, we were able to access documents directly from UCSF that showed that they had a partnership with ABR in terms of being a source of fetal body parts that they use in their laboratory experiment studies. Now, this day of protest against Advanced Bioscience Resources was very exciting. Not for the least, we had some counter protesters, some people just mad at our presence, angry about our message, and just not wanting us to be there. man in the top right, for example, he ripped one of our banners walking across the street, trying to just get us to disperse. But of course, that didn't get us to stop. If anything, actions like that make us more determined to stand our ground and stay for even longer than we planned. I can say that that's something that I felt when being yelled at for sidewalk counseling. Someone yells, I'm just going to stay longer than I originally planned. So if anyone's watching from the pro-abortion movement, I would say definitely do whatever kind of protests you want. It's not going to make us go away. This is an example of some of the documents that we at Pro-Life San Francisco were able to uncover through the California Public Records Act. This was sent to us directly from UCSF. You can message their public records officers yourself and mention this Public Records Act number and receive these yourself to verify it. We make sure that the information we document this can be replicated without anyone needing to take our word for it. You can find this yourself by reaching out to UCSF, and this is just one of several, almost 100 pages worth of documents that show their partnership with ABR, receiving even entire heads from that body part broker that works with Planned Parenthood and other abortion facilities in California. Before I go ahead and share these clips, I'm going to kind of preface it. These are clips that were published online through the Center for Medical Progress that give a deeper insight into what happens at Advanced Bioscience Resources just across the bay from us in San Francisco.
How does a tissue procurement occur in one of these situations when the entire fetus is intact in the lab?
We do dissection.
And just to be clear, you do dissection to obtain the tissues that are on the list for the day?
We do dissection to get the tissues that the researchers have requested, yeah.
We're totally not involved in the clinical work at all. The clinic does all of the consenting. The only thing we do is after the procedure, we will draw blood from the donating mother if he needs serology testing, and we will, and that's all we do with the patient. I mean, we don't do anything else. So.
Okay, so you just wait for them to bring you the tissue then?
Yeah. We're usually standing right outside the door where they're doing the procedure in the OR, and we're in the lab area. And so that's kind of.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Sorry about the jumping around there, but really wanted to highlight the correct point of that video that these tissue collectors, even right here in our area, they are in deep planning and coordination with abortion businesses like Planned Parenthood, waiting up to the point where they're in the building before the abortion takes place, waiting for that child to be killed. And essentially waiting, just sitting on their hands, waiting for a planned death to occur that they know is going to benefit their organization. It's something that is just mind-boggling. I can't just always even clue into like the emotion behind this. Like it's just this really, it's something that I guess even a lot of pro-lifers need to compartmentalize in order to even go beyond, from hearing about it to be able to talk about it. But it's just it's something you can't even put words to. And I think sometimes you need to take a minute to be able to fully communicate what's going on here. Other times you're speechless. And I'd say right now is another one of those times where I feel a bit speechless. But we've been able to take the time to really, dig through the ethical implications of this, write out in, long form, why do we feel this immediate revulsion to this activity? And be able to explain it to people who might be a little bit more on the fence or confused about the ins and outs of this practice across the country. So we've been able to share that through our social media over the years, time after time again, to ensure that these companies just don't get to continue without any scrutiny, without any public condemnation. And of course, that pressure and necessary shaming of a business like that is a necessary tool to them being able to change their minds and that exit that life. I can't even imagine being a part of an organization targeting parents before abortions, ensuring that they're encouraged to follow through, and then literally hands on dissect those bodies. It's just unconscionable to me. So we've been able to highlight the work, the horrible work like that happening here in the Bay Area over the years, time after time again. And when it comes to the politicians enabling this and turning a blind eye, we've been able to hold them to account as well. Up through August 2024, we had a presence along with other allies of ours, the Progressive Anti-Abortion Uprising, outside the Democratic National Convention in 2024. We were able to highlight the role Kamala Harris played in not lifting a finger for even a second to investigate Planned Parenthood, not even to try to clear their name, just ignoring the problem altogether, even though more local law enforcement like the Orange County District Attorney were able to, do what was within their jurisdiction and punish fetal organ harvesters who are selling body parts for profit, which is a crime, both in the state of California and federally, and shut them down. We definitely wanted to continue to, when more information came to the forefront, highlight this as well. We learned of a father named Tommy Kearns who started this campaign in memory of his daughter, who was sadly the victim of an abortion. Her mother, of course, deeply regretted her her role in succumbing to pressure, going and deciding for abortion. And together, the two of them, Clementine's mom and dad, were able to start urging the public to recognize their daughter's humanity for what it was and hold companies like ABR accountable for their role in targeting their child. We were able, once we found out from all the viral videos online from that family, and then hearing about ABR's role in taking possession of their daughter's body, we were able to do many more things. For example, this is a photo of a memorial that we held outside of ABR in memory of Clementine. We were also able last year to be able to amplify the message about Kamala Harris's role and just the unconscionable fact that, she's not publicly chastised for this on a large scale, for failing to hold Planned Parenthood accountable by law. We were able to create an explainer video that was viewed by over 24,000 people, liked by almost 6,000 on TikTok alone. We don't just publish to TikTok, but of course to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. But getting this message to thousands of people just felt right. And this was right before the election where people could take, all the education that they could find and use that to make an informed choice in voting. Of course, the legal case against David in in state court continued. We were able to continue to show up for him. And just this past January, we learned about the amazing news that a plea deal was agreed where, in exchange for waiving the right to a trial by your peers, David would refrain from publishing anything about certain filmed subjects from his undercover videos. And in 1 year, the case will be entirely erased. Clear, no one at risk of being incarcerated for 10 years in San Quentin. So I'd say that's a really victorious exchange. And of course, we would like to invite everyone watching to come out to San Francisco State Court, Hall of Justice, in January 2026 to see the final hearing where the case is fully and officially dismissed. In February this year, we were able to relaunch a podcast of ours to be able to continue sounding the alarm against this organ harvesting taking place in our own backyard and across the country. We've published 6 episodes so far. One of our most viewed videos, the clips on Instagram, is a short segment from our interview with Tommy Kearns, father of Clementine. And we want to be able to continue to share more news through this platform, the Harvesting Justice podcast. So if any of you haven't checked it out yet, I'd encourage you to subscribe on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you like to listen to podcasts best, and check out those episodes. Oh, and now, before I throw it back to Melanie, I would like us to watch the video that started it all from July 14th, 2015, David the Leiden and the Center for Medical Progress's debut video from their video series on Planned Parenthood.
Now a story we guarantee most of you have never heard before. Big money is being made from the sale of fetal body parts.
Even the most ardent pro-choice advocates, like Planned Parenthood President Gloria Felt, are disturbed by what we found.
It seems inappropriate, totally inappropriate. Where there is wrongdoing, it should be prosecuted and should be brought to justice.
A lot of people want intact parts these days because they're looking for specific nodes. AV nodes, SA. I was like, wow, I didn't even know. Good for them. Yesterday was the first time she said people wanted lungs. And then, like I said, always as many intact livers as possible. People just want
livers.
People want lower extremities too, which that's simple. I mean, that's easy. I don't know what they're doing with it. I guess they want muscle. But
Yeah, a dime a dozen.
I'm the medical director for the national office for all of the
Right.
affiliates. So I say, okay, what are you looking to supply today? We've been very good at getting heart, lung, liver. Every provider has had patients who want to donate their tissue, and they absolutely want to accommodate them. They just want to do it in a way that is not perceived as this clinic is selling tissue, this clinic is making money off of this.
Okay, so when you are or the affiliate is determining what that is monetary,
yes,
so that it doesn't raise any question of this is what it's about. This is the main. What price range would you?
You know, I'm going to throw a number out. I would say it's probably anywhere from $30 to $100, depending on the facility and what's involved.
The $30 to $100 price, that's per specimen that we're talking about, right? Yeah.
Yes.
The $30 to $100 price, that's per specimen that we're talking about, right? Yeah.
Yes.
How much of a difference can that actually make if you know what's expected or what we need versus?
It makes a huge difference. I'd say a lot of people want liver, and for that reason, most providers will do this case under ultrasound guidance, so they'll know where they're putting their forceps. Then a rate-limiting step of the procedure is calvarium. Calvarium, the head is basically the biggest part. Most of the other stuff can come out intact.
Right.
It's very rare to have a patient that doesn't have enough dilation to evacuate all the other
To bring the body cavity out intact and all that.
So then you're just kind of cognizant of where you put your graspers. We try to intentionally go above and below the thorax so that, you know, we've been very good at getting heart, lung, liver, because we know that, so I'm not going to crush that part. I'm going to basically crush below, I'm going to crush above, and I'm going to see if I get out intact. And with the calvarium, in general, some people will actually try to change the presentation so that it's not a vertex, because when it's a vertex presentation, you never have enough dilation at the beginning of the case unless you have a real huge amount of dilation to deliver an intact calvarium. So if you do it starting from the breech presentation, there's dilation that happens as the case goes on, and often the last, you can evacuate an intact calvarium at the end. So I mean, there are certainly steps that can be taken.
So they can convert to breech, for example, at the start of the...
Exactly. Under ultrasound guidance, they can just change the presentation. Under ultrasound guidance, they can just change the presentation.
To bring the body cavity out, intact and all that.
So if you do it starting from the breech presentation, there's dilation that happens as the case goes on, and often the last, you can evacuate an intact calvarium at the end. Federal abortion ban is a law, and laws are up to interpretation. So if I say on day one I do not intend to do this, what ultimately happens doesn't matter.
So yesterday was a clinic day. So for example, like what did you procure?
You know, I asked her at the beginning of the day what she wanted. Yesterday she's been at, a lot of people want intact hearts these days because they're looking for specific nodes. AV nodes, SA. I was like, wow, I didn't even know. Good for them. Yesterday was the first time she said people wanted lungs. And then, like I said, always as many intact livers as possible. People just want
livers.
Some people want lower extremities too, which that's simple. I mean, that's easy. I don't know what they're doing with it. I guess they want muscle. But
Yeah, a dime a dozen.
if you maintain enough of the dialogue to the person that's actually doing the procedures and they understand what the end game is, there are little things, changes they can make in their technique to increase your
Even though they have a set way that they do it, they're open to changing it.
The reasonable people, sure. For example, so I had 8 cases yesterday, and I knew exactly what we needed, and I kind of looked at the list, and I said, all right, this 17-liter has 8 grams, and this liter. So I knew which were the cases that were probably more likely to yield what we needed, and I made my decisions according to that too. So it's worth having a huddle at the beginning of the day, and that's what I do.
Rather than having to deal with all the different affiliates, if there were a way to partner with PPFA directly to get some kind of like pre-clearance or something, so that we have.
Do this. And at the national office, we have a litigation and law department, which just really doesn't want us to be the middle people for this issue right now. Because we were approached by STEM Express to do the same thing. One of the Northern California affiliates said, we're working with these people, we love it. We think every affiliate should work with them. And so we had a conversation, and we said, you know, what do you think? We'll just go out and find all the people that are doing this and present everybody with a menu. And they, at the end of the day, they just decided right now it's too touchy an issue for us to be an official middleman. But that,
when you say right now, do you see a future?
Right now, the way the Supreme Court looks, I don't think it looks very good. Okay. If you talk to my litigation and law folks, anything that's going to go to the Supreme Court right now, we are all losers. But I will tell you that behind closed doors, these conversations are happening with the affiliates.
Cecile, I want to thank you so much for Dr. Nuka-Tola. She's been so helpful for the past couple of years. I'm just with fetal tissue collection. She's been very, very helpful with to talk to and how to like.
Okay, great. Thank you. She's amazing.
And thank you for Planned Parenthood.
Thank you. For Planned Parenthood.
So people can also screenshot this QR code and then open up your camera roll, tap it. That'll lead you straight to the video as well. So I would definitely want to highlight the fact that over the course of 10 years of the Center for Medical Progress's work and 7 or so years of Pro-Life San Francisco's work highlighting and expanding the work of CMP, we have the desire to do more. There's a necessity to do more for the children and families being targeted by organizations like Planned Parenthood to this day. So if you want to work with us to bring more of the kind of actions that you've seen in this presentation, to continue them, to bring them to the forefront of the media as well, you can join us by supporting us at prolifesf.org/donate. Feel free to take another screenshot of this code as well. That'll lead you straight to that page. And I'll throw it back to Melanie. Thank you.
Or if you're watching on your device, on your computer, put your phone up and scan the QR code. So that video is very heavy. It was groundbreaking for the pro-life movement to expose that you cannot practice vice with virtue. Where there is darkness, there's more darkness with the selling of baby body parts through Planned Parenthood. So welcome on, Teresa. Please share with us, what impact did that video and other work of CMP have on you?
Well, it was the catalyst truly for the formation of this organization. I'm still, like I said, a little in shock that it's been 10 years. But I was kind of a closeted pro-lifer for a while. I'm a leftist, I'm an atheist, and I didn't really see myself fitting into the pro-life movement. But I did find a group called Secular Pro-Life, and I was mildly involved. I attended a pro-life march, and I was helping out with their online platform. And I was told the night before this anniversary, on the original day, that there was a video that was going to be coming out, and it was Kelsey from Secular Pro-Life. She was letting me know she was going to be in. Oh my gosh, I'm babysitting my nephew, and he is coming in right now. Hey, George.
Go downstairs with me.
In just a minute.
Okay.
Mom will be home soon. You know, being a pro-life activist comes with a lot of kids, I guess.
Yeah.
Remind me where I was. Oh yeah, so I was working in fashion. I had a great 9-to-5 job, but I found out this video was coming out. I didn't know what was on it. Kelsey didn't know what was on it. David was very strategic. He had emailed all of the pro-life leaders the night before and told them that that something was going to be released. And so Kelsey was in court. She asked me to watch the video and to report on it on the Secular Pro-Life Facebook page. And so I took a break from work and I watched the video, and I felt like something just broke in me when I watched it. It was just so real and so, happening in my state. And I felt overwhelmed by just the horror and the reality of it. I knew what I was looking at and was watching was real. And I remember remarking about it in the bathroom at work, and someone saying something about like, oh gosh, I hope they don't use this as an excuse to limit abortion rights. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is murder. Like, I just, it had a major effect on me. And so throughout the next year, I took steps of starting this organization, and with just the intention of organizing young professionals in the Bay Area to just like have a club or something. I didn't have a strong vision for it, but I just felt like I needed to do something. But the night before the official launch, so it took me about a year, but then in October of 2016, so nearly 9 years ago, I had planned this very special launch party for the organization. I was planning on just having a few people, but more than 40 people showed up, so it was like pretty epic. But what happened more importantly was the day before I went to this luncheon. It was a pro-life event and they were hosting David Daleiden as a speaker, and I thought I can go there and try to meet people to bring them to my event. But I ended up meeting David and we connected right away, and we just started communicating on a regular basis about our work. And he really filled me in on all that was going on at UCSF. And as the weeks and the days unfolded, after David's initial video was released, he released more video that included information about UCSF, that included information about ABR and all these Bay Area local companies involved in this. So it just seemed like, I met David Daleiden, I'm launching this organization, and he says, oh, by the way, we have a court date tomorrow morning. Can you come? And so my colleague Karen and I put on our pro-life t-shirts and we held signs outside of the court, and then we went in, and I mean, it's something we do all the time now as activists, but that was really kind of the first time I'd ever done something like that. And I was just, sticking a toe in essentially. And then that night we launched Pro-Life San Francisco. Like I said, 40 people showed up. It was a great party. And I met Robert, I think maybe a week or two after that. And he mentioned the Cecile Richards event where we protested her outside the Orpheum Theater in San Francisco, or some theater.
Herbst, yeah, the Herbst Theater.
Herbst
actually.
Theater. And it's funny, he forgot to mention that night we printed out contracts that ABR had with Planned Parenthood on pink paper and highlighted all the parts where it said heart, liver, lung, and then the dollar amount. And we folded them up and had one of our more pro-abortion looking people handing them out at the door saying, would you like information about Planned Parenthood, as they were walking in. So my vision is that by the end of the event, it was just littered with these contracts. And I'm telling you that because we are actually getting somewhere on this. 10 years ago, it was a long time ago. And at many points during this journey, it has felt almost scary, hopeless. We were protesting Kamala Harris, as she was had some position in San Francisco. What was it, Robert?
She
Not
was
the Attorney General,
the
the
DA
DA.
before her time as Attorney
She was
General.
the DA in San Francisco, and then we protested her when she was the Attorney General, and then they replaced her with Javier Becerra, and now he's in HHS, and it was just this cascade of people that we were trying to expose getting promoted, and it became incredibly frustrating over time that it appeared that the DOJ was going to do nothing about this. Like Robert mentioned, we had Bill Barr. He's a right-wing Catholic. He was Trump appointed. But with all of this information that David was able to expose and provide, and with all of the criminal referrals made by the congressional panels, the fact that nothing was happening felt incredibly hopeless. And like you mentioned, Robert, we went out there, we yelled, we were like, justice, but still we're waiting. We're still waiting to this day. But we have a new attorney general now, and we're very lucky that one of David's attorneys is actually the assistant to the attorney general, Harmeet Dillon. We have many allies who have expressed concern about fetal organ harvesting in particular.
And that led to this day right here. Can you see this, the screen I'm sharing? It's a screenshot from CNN News of congressional.
Yes, I did have the honor of testifying in Congress, and hopefully there will be more opportunities. But it took me and Robert 8 years to get to that point where I even was able to put that on a congressional record. So it has been a long time coming, and all of the legal battles that we have faced with trying to obtain the records from institutions like UCSF, records that the DOJ already has. There's still a great deal of hope that they're going to be held accountable for this. And the UCSF Board of Regents, they represent the most elite millionaires and billionaires in California. They run the entire university system And the governor, Gavin Newsom, sits on the board, as well as several other high-ranking government officials. And they have fought us very hard on these records requests. They tried, it was their attorney who has interacted with our attorney. So we have made really big enemies in California. We went directly to that board on no less than 10 occasions, and gave them an earful in front of the public about what is going on there. They want to silence Pro-Life San Francisco so badly. And we really did take things up a notch a couple years ago when we did a rescue at the abortion center at UCSF, where they are actually doing live birth abortions and harvesting those organs. So after that rescue, some of us, Kristen Turner, who was the previous executive director of Pro-Life San Francisco, me, and another activist are facing potentially criminal charges in California for that rescue. And those, right now, it's just a temporary restraining order, but that restraining order comes from the attorneys representing the Board of Regents. So what I'm trying to say, you guys, is we pissed them off, and I think they're going down. And Pro-Life San Francisco and CMP have been completely instrumental in getting us to this point. It was critical all of those years that there was support for David, that there was this presence in a place like San Francisco that is like, we are going to call you out on this. We are going to break the law if it means saving a baby. And we are going to continue to use public comment to make our voices heard until the federal government comes in and holds them accountable. So I'm feeling really good about where things are going right now. I know we can't ever count our chickens before they're hatched, but I feel like we put in a ton of work in these last 10 years, and there is going to be more work ahead. But right now, what we need more than anything is intervention from the federal government. And so I want people, in addition to continuing to support Pro-Life San Francisco financially, because we need to have that local resistance. I'm also hoping that you will contact your members of Congress and the FBI, Pam Bondi, and anybody else that you can think of, and let them know that you want justice for the victims of fetal organ harvesting. And, you know, I almost forgot to mention that I did co-discover alongside Lauren Handy the Justice for the 5 Babies. And that discovery that was made 3 years ago is leading to laws and or potential laws. Representative Biggs has introduced some legislation that would put teeth on the Born Alive Act, and he is framing it around the reality of the photos that he saw of the Justice for the 5 Babies. So the work that we're doing to continue to highlight that this isn't just first trimester abortions that we're talking about. We are talking about horrific third trimester, born alive, cut open while they're alive, organs put on ice and shipped over to the building next door, like maybe not every day, but many days out of the month. And it's a reality that we can't forget about. And even though it's like one of those subjects that people are like, oh, fetal organ harvesting, it's like hard to consume, hard to understand, hard to communicate. And everyone is just like, that's crazy. That's not really happening. But I really want to thank everybody who's on this Zoom call for engaging in the topic, to try to understand it a little bit more, to try to communicate about it a little bit more. But more than anything, calling your members of Congress, calling Pam Bondi, and giving money to Pro-Life San Francisco. Thanks.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for that call to action. We definitely are so appreciative of you launching a movement here in San Francisco, for your leadership throughout the years, and for inspiring future generations to step up and fight for the unborn. Thank you again for joining us tonight, Teresa.
Thank you.
Alrighty. So as Robert and Teresa touched on, this is 10 years of fetal organ harvesting exposed, thanks to the work of David Daleiden through the Center of Medical Progress. And Robert showed that we have been on a decade of fighting against fetal organ harvesting here in the Bay, trying to bring this issue to light. And it's not easy to talk about. It's probably much easier to talk about prayerfully witnessing on the sidewalk of our local abortion business, or how can we help our local pregnancy centers, topics that are still dealing with abortion but not as ugly or grotesque as children being born alive and harvested. And we here at Pro-Life San Francisco are bringing that to light. We currently are in the middle of another Public Records Act request. We are now working with a lawyer to help us retrieve what rightfully belongs to the public. And we have launched that Harvesting Justice podcast as we talk about to specifically highlight this issue of fetal organ harvesting. And upcoming later this year, we will be launching a grassroots initiative for you, the public, to take your moral outrage and demand for ethical research now. Ooh, so that's to come. Maybe, Robert, you can touch a little bit on our current public records request that is in the in between right now.
Yeah, and just as both you and Teresa especially were highlighting the fact that this topic is hard to talk about. Like even I hate to reveal that I feel like I didn't do my best in explaining the ins and outs of this horrific practice, mainly for the fact that it's just such an upsetting thing that I have to kind of compartmentalize and kind of put package the emotion off and put it to the side and try to run through all this information that we've been speaking about for 6 to 7 years um, in a compact, concise presentation. It's just hard to do that every single time. But of course, if any of you would like to check out, we've been able to crystallize, I would say, a more clear, more better explanation of the ins and outs of all of what's going on. You can check out 2 specific pages on our website, prolifesf.org/David, that explains the story of David Daleiden and makes the case for all of his claims, and prolifesf.org/UCSF, where you could see everything that we're stating about UC San Francisco, the abortion facilities there, and the medical research laboratories there. It's all there, clear as crystal. Our statements, what we're saying is documented going on there and potentially going on, things we're concerned, worried about. And in terms of getting more information directly from the source about UCSF, we in the past have been able to get hundreds of pages of documentation of their collecting of fetal organs, fetal body parts ranging from it's just really hard to say. It's really hard to talk about, but them collecting lungs, heads, oral pharyngeal, that's throat and mouth organs, and even disgustingly enough, even genitals, them targeting and collecting the genitals of murdered unborn children. We've gotten dozens of these records, been able to publish them on an archive on our website of these collection logs where they type out and write out what they're going into the abortion facility to collect, even brains as well. You'll see that on some of the documents. We wanted to get an updated record of the most recent activities, really ugly activities like that that are happening within UCSF, but the public records team at the university replied to our request stating that, well, because it happens at the facility co-run by the Department of Public Health, General Hospital, Zuckerberg General Hospital, you have to reach out to the Department of Public Health to get those documents now. strangely enough, that wasn't an issue back in the year 2020 when we first asked UCSF for the records from that facility. But now it was. Now we have to go through a different public records officer. But then we reached out to the Department of Public Health and they said, oh, this is about Zuckerberg SF General Hospital. You got to reach out to UCSF about that. So it's a game of hot potato. And we definitely got some good recommendations just this morning, actually, from the lawyer that we reached out to in terms of how to progress in this, how to get beyond this wall that we've hit. So we're going to take the advice of the lawyer and move forward and try to get this information. And the purpose of having this information is to display to the public, create a, reasonable, righteous, moral outcry against things that are documented to be happening. And through this, Melanie, how would you describe it? Reignite the passions of the community so that there will be enough voice, enough pressure for these organizations to change their practices. Like that is the whole reason why requesting public documents from local, public institutions is such an important thing for us to be able to continue doing.
Yeah, and we also want to bring this conversation to the present day that fetal organ harvesting is still very much happening every day, and it's happening in our backyard. So it is so important, the work at Pro-Life SF, to continue exposing the gruesome practice, the unethical research that is happening at University California, San Francisco. So with your help in supporting our work at prolifesf.org/donate, you can help us with continuing to expose the fetal organ harvesting that is happening. So, Robert, we have a couple questions that have come in, and I think you're the guy to help answer. So, a first question: does anyone know where ABR went after leaving that Oak Street building? Did it go out of business or just relocate? Thanks.
Definitely. So I'm also going to open up our video on YouTube so that I can check to see if there are any questions and comments typed there real quick. No, it doesn't look like any comments or questions typed in there yet. So let me go ahead and answer that question. So we've been able to discover that from the California Secretary of State business record, there's a website where you can look up any organization that has, officially registered as a business in the state of California, and found that Advanced Bioscience Resources there in Alameda, the place where we've had a couple vigils, a couple protests over the years, and where friends of ours have done a monthly presence outside as well, that they have not registered for I forget the legal term, but they have not re-registered their business license. So essentially we see an end to their existence at the building in Alameda. However, other records from other Secretary of State websites have shown that the president of Advanced Bioscience Resources, Linda Tracy, she established a new tissue procurement organization on the East Coast and subsequently registered for operation within several states, including California, just in the past 18 months. This new organization where Linda Tracy is the chief financial officer, it's called Circle Allocation Services. That's sounds like the word circle, but it's spelled CERCLE. So Circle Allocation Services is the new iteration of ABR, and a physical office location is not listed on any government documents, just they're the agent of process that, if you're familiar with starting an organization, there needs to be some address on record, and it's just essentially their lawyers or PO box, more or less. So We don't know how and where Circle is housed, if everyone just works remotely and just works on site at the abortion facilities, but there's no longer an office comparable to the ABR office in a known building any longer, like there was in Alameda.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Is it legal for Planned Parenthood to distribute fetal body parts if they do not receive compensation?
Sadly, it is legal. There's been a lot of research, a lot of talk over the years about, whether or not it's ethical. And I'd say it is a really tall order to be able to excuse the practice, even when you aren't, collecting, illegal monetary transactions. But sadly, the government doesn't care unless there's illegal, transactions trading hands.
Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, we can go ahead and wrap up our live stream here. Robert, can you please put on the QR code to point people to support our work? So thank you everyone for attending this 10 years of fetal organ harvesting exposed anniversary webinar celebrating honoring the work of David Daleiden and the Center for Medical Progress, which sparked a movement and helped us to grow as activists in the fight against fetal organ harvesting. And we want to continue to bring the darkness to light. We want to continue to be fight for life in a city of death, in a city that celebrates death, that targets parents and families for their babies. Healthy moms with healthy babies are the people who are being targeted for fetal organ harvesting happening at UCSF. And we want to see an end to that. We have done so much to expose this horrendous practice over the years through protests and online and through our own public records requests that we have made accessible to you, the public, through our website, prolifesf.org/UCSF. And we're not stopping there. We are in the middle of another current Public Records Act request that, as Robert touched on, is being a hot potato between two different departments who say that's that guy's job, no, that's that guy's job. So we are working with a lawyer so that we can get this Public Records Request Act to show to you, the public, to fight for those children that are still being killed to this day through fetal organ harvesting. We are also having our own podcast called Harvesting Justice, where we talk about this issue, where we interview experts on the topic of fetal organ harvesting who have done their own work in their respective lanes to fight for the children, the victims of fetal organ harvesting. And we, later this year, will be showing to you, the public, a new innovative grassroots tool for you to take this outrage and demand for ethical research now by telling the people in power that you want an end to fetal organ harvesting. So we are doing all this at Pro-Life San Francisco, and we can't do this without your support. So if you are on a device, please take out your phone, scan the QR code, or if you're on your own phone, screenshot this page, click on the QR code in your camera roll, go to prolifesf.org/donate. Is that the correct current URL, Robert? Okay.
Yes.
And you can support our work. Any amount is so appreciative. As you saw tonight, we are a grassroots crew. We are a scrappy crew doing our best with what we have, and we can't do it without your support. So please consider supporting our work, supporting our mission, and helping us in the fight against fetal organ harvesting. So thank you to everyone who tuned in this evening. Thank you to everyone who is hopefully watching the replay, and we hope that you will join us in this fight to end fetal organ harvesting, expose fetal organ harvesting, and be a voice for life in our beloved city by the bay. Any last remarks, Robert?
No, just to take a look at the information we have on our website, prolifesf.org. Get a clear understanding if you want to be able to clearly communicate this to your friends and family and to the powers that be. I can't recommend enough prolifesf.org/David and prolifesf.org/UCSF. Learn what these institutions that have been investigated and researched are doing. Learn about the potential illegal activities and the justifiable concern that we and more community members have over things that need to be more deeply investigated by local law enforcement, because we can't be the only ones trying to bring a magnifying glass to these institutions. San Francisco Police Department ought to as well. So that's my last message.
Alrighty,
And we can't
Robert,
do it without
tell
you guys. This is tangible
yeah.
help if you're able to participate with us, either on the ground or with your finances. This is for the children, for the families. Together we can do so much, and we can't do anything without you guys.
Totally. Robert, tell the people, where are they able to watch the replay of this webinar?
Yes, if you go to youtube.com/@prolifesf, you'll be able to watch the replay. Hopefully, if the bugs in the live stream here today were a little bit too much, we'll put a little bit of a refined version online in a couple of days.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Robert, for your magical behind the scenes production work. You are a great producer, and we are so thankful for your work, all your effort for the babies. So have a good night, everyone. Over and out from San Francisco.